Everything wrong with Floppa 2 after playing for a whole year. This game has way too much grindiness. After playing for a whole year, I just stopped buying any upgrade above 1 million because it literally just gave me more cash and there's no point in doing it. Since there are no endings right now, so I don't know why I would waste more than 1 million on upgrades. Since there's no reason to. Except if you're going for the billion badge or the trillion badge. Along with that, the upgrades obviously that you can get they're just copy and paste of upgrades you got earlier. Like here, let me find it. You get Saga 5000, Floppa drops 2 times cash, and they all basically do the same, which I understand, but like, oh my god, the prices get way too crazy. For just that, it's not worth it, man. 400 mil? That should be a ending in itself, getting 400 mil. Wealth ending, in my opinion. Fishing in this game is useless at this point. It's like okay early game, and then you do it like once and you're good. Kinda, I don't know. Yeah, I liked it in Floppa 1 because it could really boost your cash with treasure chest. Treasure chest used to give 30k, and that used to be a really good buff to get early game in Floppa 1. They nerfed them to only give 10k, and they increased the price of upgrades. It makes no sense to me. Backrooms kinda got nerfed. Well, they didn't get nerfed initially, but they're more bland now. For example, is to find a shop, needs to sell you a couple things. It wasn't really like very helpful, but it's kind of cool. Now you kind of just go back there for some almond water, which gives your flop an extra life, which can be useful. But flop almost never dies, and if he does, it auto saves you back to the next day. So backrooms, kinda useless, honestly. And you can still ascend, which I like. I like that you can ascend, but the artifacts are pretty much garbage when you get them. This chalice right here makes your happiness decrease slower, which sounds good, but it's really terrible. It's honestly horrible, not worth it for at that point in the game. If it was hunger, I could see an argument. And then the other artifact, the sword, there's no bosses. You don't need the sword right now. Maybe in a later update, they'll have bosses. But the sword just doesn't do anything right now. You could go without it. It's kind of just like a flex to have a cool sword in your basement. And back to that point, there is really no ending in this game. You can ascend twice, I guess, if you can count an ending. Or, I guess, farming all the achievements, which basically just requires you to sit here for a year. Because unless you really want to farm for the a billion and trillion achievements, which go ahead, but there's just no point to do them. You don't get anything. It's just a number. You get awarded for having a bigger number in your bank. It's kind of cool seeing all the seasons, but there's just no endings. Unlike in Floppa 1 where they had a couple endings, they had the boss fight, that ascending, you win around the world. It was pretty cool. In this one, no ending. Just grind money. That's about it. Waste time and grind money. That's how you get the ending in this game. And it's very bland. Floppa's birthday, no event either. No one throws man a banger party for being a year old. I'm gonna put some respect on my man's name, man. Meteorite is useless now. The only thing it is used for is to make meteorite soup. Which, it's good, but you might as well just make cake. Cake is just better in my opinion. Well, it's not better, but it's just as good in my opinion. It's really not that big of a difference. So, yeah. More efficient, and there used to be in Floppa 1, there was a UFO you could go to, and you could get upgrades for things with meteorites. But I don't know, this kind of removed that. I don't know why. I thought it was pretty cool. You get some meteorites, you're like, oh shit. And go to the UFO and get some upgrades. Now you can't really do that. So it's kind of boring. Meteorites. Meteorites were kind of cool, but now it's kind of lame. It's unsatisfying getting one. I think another issue is rent can only go up to 205k. I get it shouldn't be that OP, but I feel like they can make it a bit higher. Or add an autocollect feature, because every day you have to autocollect that. You have to make a cake. You have to pet your Floppa. Keep his happiness up. I feel like some of this stuff can be automated. And it's worse in the summer and winter because you have to go over here get that man a lemonade or hot cocoa and give it to him almost every other day, it's very tedious. You just do the same 4 things every day. I feel like there should be at least a way to automate it somewhat. They added seeds in Rise of Floppa too. They can find from fishing or putting them up on the ground. They're basically useless though. They don't do anything. They can be used in recipes, but by the time you get outside, you'll have cake, and cake is just way better and easier in my opinion. Because you don't have to grow cake, you just have to wait for milkman to come every Tuesday. These take ages to grow. I mean, I like the cooking aspect, but they're very useless. And the only one that's actually good is the fungal spore, which can give you mushrooms, which you can use for some potions. Speed sandy potions, kinda useful. Like, for like you form a couple and that's it. Catnip is useless. It just makes them hyper. No special, no fun effect. Gives a bit of happiness, but happiness is correlated to hunger. You might as well just make a cake, honestly. Why not? The upgrades, I feel like some of them should do more. Like we have the May 2.0 over here. Pretty sick guy. Just this guy, but faster though. Not necessary. I feel like he should do a bit extra. Maybe keep your Floppa happiness at least to 75% to get that 1 times cash bonus and can AFK. And as well as that, I feel like the game is just flat out bland. There's no life to it. It's just get money and wait around. This guy is actually the best part of the game, the milkman. You also have the milk to make the cake. So you can get 5 times cash. Pretty cool. If your storage doesn't look, if your storage just, look at this. If your storage doesn't look like this, you're just not playing the game right. And as well as I missed some of the nice little aspects it had. I feel like these NPCs don't really feel like they give much life. It's just kind of a copy and paste model. No text you can have with them. You just buy stuff. As well as no mailbox, no UFO. There's no life to it. It's just kind of bland. Side. And I guess no replayability, which it's hard to have replayability in games like this. I agree. But in this game, honestly, after you unlock the outside and look around, you could just leave, honestly. Like, I could barely stay for all the seasons because it took so long. And at that point, I'm just sitting around. As you don't even want to keep your Floppa happy. Because it gets boring after like a week of keeping them 5 times happiness. You don't need the cash. It's just flat out like that. You don't need the cash. It's boring keeping them happy. Just leave them like this. AFK. Go do something else. Yeah.